Testing 1, 2. Testing 1, 2.
Good morning, it's Bill Warner.
If we can get our council to please take your seats. Chief Johnson is on his way, but we're not going to delay in getting this meeting underway because it is 10 o'clock. Should I put my name? Okay, it looks like everybody's taken their seat. It's 10:02. If we can get roll call.
Leetta Sampson. Anthony Conley.
Here.
John Narkemy. Rena Tiger. Here. Anastasia Pittman. Terry Edwards.
Here.
Ida Gonzalez. Here. Nancy Fixico. Leon Petit.
Here.
Joseph Billy. Dolores Harjo. Karen Fulbright. Here. Ann Borba. Here. Stephanie Lambert. Here. Sina Yeslith. Here. Lottie Cootie. Marilyn Moore. Henson Lena.
Here.
David Frank.
Here.
Wayne Shaw.
Here.
Tiffany Thunder. Catherine McCoy.
Here.
Charlie Hill.
Here.
Tommy Chupko.
Here.
Danita Harjo. Willis Dethridge.
Here.
Desiree Emerton.
Here.
I have 20 present, 7 absent.
Okay, with a count of 20 present, 7 absent, we do have quorum. Call this meeting to order. We can get Representative Hill, do the honors. We can all stand.
His Excellency, our Father, Poske, Harwilegichat, that lives high above. Ayon Yanita Pumbalichat, the land, the day that you has let us borrow. Pogidichat, watch over us. Timbona Hod, Nak, Tain, Oksadit, Ok, Abonai, Moanit, Polani Dos. The things that you're going to present to us, Lord, we hope that we would do the right thing by agreeing to it, signing it, whatever it may be. I ask that you bless each and every one that's here today and those that are not here. Bless those that are also overseas and also fighting for our land and our country. And Lord, whatever lies ahead of us, we ask that we will talk about it as humans and not to argue and get upset about it. Things that has happened in the past, Lord, we should not bring it up. unless it's for a good reason, Lord. And we ask that you take care of our nation, our people that are in need. And we look forward to moving our nation forward with little that we have. And we just ask that you take care of us, bless us, and be with us today. And I ask all this through your son's precious name, Jesus. Amen.
Okay, the first item on the agenda is reading of the minutes of the last meeting on July 22nd. Is there any questions on those? Is there a motion to approve? Representative Petit made a motion. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Gonzalez.
Leetta Sampson,
Yes.
Anthony Conley,
Yes.
John Narkemy, Rena Tiger,
Yes.
Anastasia Pittman, Terry Edwards, Ida Gonzalez,
Yes.
Nancy Fixico, Leon Petit,
Yes.
Joseph Billy, Karen Fulbright,
Yes.
Ann Borba,
Yes.
Stephanie Lambert,
Yes.
Sina Yeslith,
Yes.
Lottie Cootie, Henson Lena,
Yes.
David Frank,
Yes.
Tiffany Thunder, Wayne Shaw,
Yes.
Catherine McCoy,
Yes.
Charlie Hill,
Yes.
Tommy Chupko,
Yes.
Danita Harjo, Willis Dethridge,
Yes.
Desiree Emerton.
Yes.
I have 21 yeses, 0 nos, 0 abstain.
Okay, there is no reports of committees at this time. Just move into the unfinished business, TR 2023-53. Who is sponsoring?
Chair, I'm the sponsor.
Okay,
I'm the sponsor.
Test.
Representative Fulbright, could introduce that, please.
Yes, I'd like to introduce tribal resolution of the Seminole Nation, Oklahoma, TR 2023-54. The tribal resolution of the Seminole Nation of Oklahoma, authorizing special legal services contract with John Tashuda and the third in pursuit of mineral claims before Congress of the United States of America and for other purposes. And I ask for second. Second.
We've got a motion and a second by Representative Borba.
Was that it, or was it? That's it. Was I on 53? Was that the right one?
Sorry?
Where is it? I think I read the wrong one. Okay, I picked up the wrong one. I'm sorry, because I had both of them.
Yeah, 2023-53 is a tribal resolution of the Seminole Nation of Oklahoma reaffirming Resolution TR 93-113 and TR 2015-52 to authorize the pursuit of mineral claims before the Congress of the United States of America, to seek reparations, and to hire special legal counsel.
I'll make that motion.
Motion. Are you seconding or?
Yeah, I second it.
Motion and second.
That was good.
Do you have a question?
Yes. And now, are we in discussion on this now? Okay, I do have a statement to make on it with our band. Okay, at this time, we would like to table this because we want to be able to get more understanding that we can get this, so we will not be misusing and abusing our funds here in Seminole Nation.
Okay, she's requesting to table. Okay, there was a motion and a second to table.
I couldn't hear the reason why, I'm sorry.
I can't hear you.
She wanted clarification on the
On
agreement.
getting filing this in court, that we can get this, because right now, the way it looks, the way I read it, I'm not sure that we can get this and we can be misusing and abusing our funds that we are putting toward this. So we just need more clarification in our ban.
Okay. So she's requesting to table it. We have a second. Secretary, call roll.
Leetta Sampson,
Yes.
Anthony Conley,
Yes.
John Narkemy,
No.
Rena Tiger,
No.
Anastasia Pittman, Terry Edwards, Ida Gonzalez,
No.
Nancy Fixico, Leon Petit,
No.
Joseph Billy, Dolores Karen Fulbright,
No.
Ann Borba,
No.
Stephanie Lambert,
No.
Sina Yeslith,
No.
Lottie Cootie, Marilyn Moore, Henson Lena,
No.
David Frank,
No.
Tiffany Thunder, Wayne Shaw,
Yes.
Catherine McCoy,
Yes.
Charlie Hill,
Yes.
Tommy Chupko,
Yes.
Danita Harjo,
Yes.
Willis Dethridge,
No.
Desiree Emerton.
No.
I have 11 yeses, 13 noes, 0 abstain.
The count of 11 yes, 13 no, 0 abstention. Motion to table has failed. Back to the original resolution, TR 2023-53. Representative Shaw.
This is two resolutions in one. I want them separated if we can. I think the council deserves that we vote on each one separately. One of them is to pursue it and reaffirm those resolutions up there, what, 98-113 and 1572. That's one resolution, and the other, in the same breath, you're asking to hire a special legal counsel. Then right under that, you got another resolution trying to hire a legal counsel. I think at this time, I think we need to do one thing at a time. We're going too fast and two steps there. I think that we need to, how do you say it, separate. Are we going after the money? Are we going after the mineral rights claims? Or are we going to hire a special counsel? Let's go ahead and do what we got to do one at a time, not together. That's all.
Any other comments? Representative Hill.
Mr. Chair, I agree with Mr. Shaw. The reason why, because as the young lady said about tabling it indefinitely instead of indefinitely, if we can split those two resolutions down, and that way it'll give us a breakdown for our people to understand each one. And not only that, if we could possibly table it till a week from today, which will be our fourth quarter council meeting, we can bring it back then on the floor with two resolutions. This way it's not out for indefinitely. It's only a week's time. Can that be possible?
With the table failing, it's on the floor for approval at this time. Representative Borga?
Yes, at the special meeting, August 12th, it was in two parts, but they both go together. So, if we're gonna do it, if we do pursue the mineral claims, we know that Mr. Tsuda is probably the best person qualified. And the council asked for a special meeting, and we had that special call meeting to discuss the mineral rights, and there was only about a dozen people here. So I said, let's go forward with it. But
My question is, it's passed, this resolution passed in 2015-72. It laid for 8 years dormant. What's the urgency right now?
Wouldn't necessarily say there's an urgency, but, it was presented in 1998. I think we've had plenty of time to understand and do our research and know that, this is something that the council has historically supported by 2 resolutions, and we're just moving forward with it.
Was this council given any information for the 98?
It was attached with that bill, yes.
No, it wasn't attached, it was just a agreement. What was the end result?
They weren't pursued at the time, and that's,
Again, what was the end result? What was the outcome? What was the AER, the after actions?
it wasn't pursued, so there is nothing to report on until we take it to this next step, which is to hire legal counsel and move forward.
Was that ever brought to the council?
No, that's what we're doing today.
So it took 20 years.
Unfortunately, yes.
Again, what's the urgency now? Again, it came in 2015, here it is 2023, and we're trying to do it again. I mean, it just out of the blue, it pops up.
Wouldn't necessarily say it's out of the blue, but given the climate in Washington, this is our best bet to actually reach an agreement and a settlement amount that is warranted. And if we don't pursue it now, you get into the elections, and depending on the outcome of that, we may not have.
What do you mean, the elections? Our election or their election?
DC, Washington.
Oh, okay. All right, I yield.
Yes, I agree with Representative Billy. I'm kind of curious on what the urgency is to move it forward. I know we had the meeting and then we had requested that some kind of town hall or community meeting be publicized. And yes, I heard there was only like 12 or 13 people in attendance, but I think it was rushed. The notice getting out late, I think we should have really publicized it to get more of our tribal members' input on this. So I think it was a lack on the executive's part to get this publicized more, because our email didn't come out till the Wednesday before the meeting. So how were other people to know and plan accordingly to come and to hear and ask questions and to really engage in it? And again, what is one more week, since we have a quarterly meeting next week, that we can't just push it back by 1 week? So, and also the cost. Is there going to be any kind of budget attached? I mean, how much are we talking? Even if you don't know specifics, a ballpark, and do we have that money? And where's that money coming from?
Okay. As far as lawsuits, it just depends on where we're at. The general counsel did approve a war chest, and there is also provisions in the previous resolutions identifying funding as well.
And if that money isn't enough, where are we going to pay? Where's that other money going to come if we exceed whatever we anticipate or what we have stored back already?
I believe there's enough in that war chest, and if it gets to that point, then it would be presented to the general counsel for their desire.
Can you throw me a figure, please? Not just we have enough money in there? Is the treasurer, does he know the amount?
It's the balance of that CD that was,
Isn't that over just like $160,000? That seems kind of small to be pursuing this kind of action. And if you're hiring whoever in Washington DC fees, I mean, that's extreme. So that's going to go pretty quickly.
Yeah, possibly, but until we move forward.
Oh, Bill, did the treasurer raise his hand? Does he have a comment? And can he speak? Will someone give him a microphone, please? Hold on, Bill.
Yeah, and at this time, I do yield
Nancy
the
has
chair.
Neither one of them can get up.
Hello? As of 920 $55.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that one more time?
That's 174,920,000.
Don't yell across the room.
Hello?
It must be a back. I think it's like electrical interference with the AC unit out.
Can you hear me now? Okay. It's $174,920.55.
Meadow, appreciate that. I yield the floor.
I'll answer some of those questions. I overheard them. I do appreciate Chief Palmer starting the meeting. I have a little bit of bronchitis. I am not contagious at this point, but I do appreciate Chief Palmer, and I do find it a privilege to share this potential, impactful, and historical moment in the Seminole Nation with each and every one of you that's here, and we'll be sharing the chair today. So appreciate that. Representative Fulbright.
I appreciate all the comments today on this, and I understand them, but we've had this brought up before, and we've had plenty of time to ask these questions and get our information for today, and I call for question.
I will answer one thing. In the year of 2000, we had a referendum vote. We were as far advanced in the area of mineral claims that we had ever been in the history of the Seminole Nation. We had that referendum vote, and then the BIA really didn't challenge it till we had our general election of 2001, and then everything kind of went out the window as far as the Department of Justice and the BIA was concerned. There was a lot of advancements, as was shared in a public meeting by both band chief or the assistant band chief of the Tasiga Harjo band, as well as longtime attorney Bill Wantland on the history of this particular case. Now, I think what I'm hearing, as far as what I heard when I walked in, is where are we going to get the funds? As a secretary, treasurer, actually, as stated, there is, as Representative Shaw helped establish and sponsored what we call the legal war chest. Some may think that's only for Magnin. There are ways that we can deal with Magnin besides legally. I have a word with Stack, which is the Secretary of Interior's committee meeting. We have Dale Beaver of the Muskogee Creek Nation and Gary Batten of the Choctaw Nation that represents the eastern region here in Oklahoma. We are bringing that up at the highest levels of government to see if we can actually get the Bureau to address it, since it's already went to court and it's already been decided in the federal court, and the state of Oklahoma missed their appeal time to challenge it. And this was years and years ago. So we're going to have an opportunity in this area of the mineral claims as we never have been before, simply because of the current administration in DC, as well as with the person that we're requesting that the Seminole Nation considers today. John Tasuda is the former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Indian Affairs. He also worked for Global Innovators when they first came here several years ago, and they almost won it then, and probably many people thought that they should have. I think with his additional experience and on the Hill, that he actually has the potential to be able to obtain this, help us get further in this particular area of the mineral claims. The funds, war chest, we still have to decide what we're going to do with the $649,000 that was forgiven for the PPP. We have not decided that as a council yet. We had lengthy meetings with Senator Lankford and his staffers. We had lengthy meetings with SBA as well as First United. Everything that I am hearing from these particular meetings is that those funds should be legally the Seminole Nations of Oklahoma. They originally was to help keep people working during the height of the pandemic, but they are in an escrow account drawing 5.2 interest at this time. I would suggest that any interest that we may have gathered on our interest in any of the funds that we may have acquired, they hold the status of what we call unrestricted. They're unrestricted. And Bill can later, I don't know if he's ready to give that status today on that figure, but it can also be added if the council desires to this particular case. It is ripe for the Seminole Nation to go forward, as our ancestors always believed that it was our right and we weren't dealt with honorably, fairly, and justice was not prevailed upon the Seminole Nation during this period of time. So that's all that I have to say on this matter. I'm not debating one way or the other, but I will say this and make this very clear. You have a chief now that can speak articulately and knowledgeable and intelligently on these areas. You do, and if we go for this, I will assist John Tasuda and all that I can to obtain this for the Seminole Nation of Oklahoma. We go back to the original question. Table failed. Secretary, this is to approve a tribal resolution of the Seminole Nation of Oklahoma reaffirming resolution TR 98-113 and TR 215-72 to authorize the purchase to pursuit of the mineral claims before the Congress of the United States of America for seek reparations and to authorize the engagement of special legal counsel. I want you to know, Mr. Tasuda said there were people we needed to meet with. And by the providence of the Creator, 4 of those have already reached out to the Seminole Nation. We did not go after them, but they picked up the phone and they wanted to have lunch with executive. One we've already had lunch with. That's Congressman Bice. The other 2 is forthcoming. So sometimes what happens is the good Creator from above, he allows things to happen in the way that they are. Secretary, call the roll.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
Anastasia Pittman.
Yes.
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 Nancy Fixaco.
Yes.
Leon Petit.
No.
Joseph Billy.
No.
Karen Fulbright.
Yes.
Ann Borba.
Yes.
Stephanie Lambert.
Yes.
Tina Yeslin.
Yes.
Lottie Cootie.
Yes.
Marilyn Moore.
Yes.
Vincent Lena.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
No.
No. Yes.
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 With a count of 20 yes, 5 noes, and 0 abstentions, I declare that measure to have passed. We are on TR 2023-54, a tribal resolution of the Seminole Nation of Oklahoma authorizing a special legal services contract with John Tasuda III to pursue the mineral claims before the Congress of the United States of America and for other purposes. I entertain a motion to that effect.
Make that motion.
A motion by Representative Fulbright, second by Representative Gonzalez. Discussion? Representative PT.
Someone in my band had asked, was there ever RFPs presented in this fight? So other law firms could have submitted their applications?
Well, what I'll share with that, I'm going to look at the Constitution to the powers of the council. Okay? The powers of the council in Article 5, I think it's Section A and F, is of the Constitution gives the council the authority to contract on behalf of the Seminole Nation in any manner that advances the well-being of the members of the Seminole Nation. So an RFP was sent out years ago, and we had a lot of people up here. I want you to know, this man, John Tasuda, he's the man to get this done. He is. If it wasn't so, your chief wouldn't have brought him to you, 2 weeks ago to present. Flew in all the way from DC. So, no RFP, you have the power to do so because you're the governing body of the Seminole Nation of Oklahoma. Representative Shaw. Could you help?
Now I got him. It just wanted to flash me. But, I think that I've looked at what's been presented to us, what he presented to us, and we've talked about it in pretty in-depth, and that we feel that we need to negotiate the way those expenses are to be expended, because according to that, it says we pay the expenses. If he wants to take a congressman to lunch, he could go spend $2,000 on lunch and charge it to us. That expense account's gonna get expensive when we start doing things like this. So we need to negotiate what the parameters are of his contract, if we're gonna get a contract with him. But if we put out $15,000 a month, that's $180,000 a year. Let's say it takes 3 years to get it done.
We have an option to renew every year. The original.
Yeah, but you know, he's gonna do all this legwork. If he does it, he gets it right to the brink, and then he said, well, I gotta have another year.
Maybe.
I don't know, maybe.
Is Mr. Tasuda on the line with us this morning? Mr. Tasuda is on the line with us. We need to bring him up.
I'm on, Chief. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Are you hearing Representative Saw's concerns?
I did, yes. I think, as I understand, he asked a question about expenses in addition to the retainer amount.
That was part of it, yes.
Okay,
So as far as expenses go, I don't charge for expenses in general, that happen in DC. Taxi cabs, phone calls, copying, all that. I don't charge for that. If it was something extraordinary, I would ask, the chief and get his sign off before I made that expenditure. And then expenses for out of town, would be the same. I would confirm with the chief that those expenses are needed, and get that confirmation before I committed to that expense. So, so the nation has control over, pretty much control over that expense, extra expenses that would be there. My usual goal is to try to not charge expenses. In general, for me, it's a larger administrative problem than it is having somebody else pay those, so I often just pay them out of my own pocket.
Okay, now, one of the things I'm looking at is that it says that you will, report directly to our Attorney General. I don't believe that you need to be, the General Counsel's hiring you, not her. So therefore, I think you need to report directly to the General Counsel rather than to, an attorney who may or may not have a best interest at heart. I've got a bad taste in my mouth for some attorneys we've been had over the last 30 years, 40 years that I've been around on this council. So you can understand where I'm coming from. But I think that, you know, if I'm going to, if I'm going to hire you, I think you need to report, I'm going to say me, I'm talking about this general counsel, rather than an attorney out here who can change your words around. Instead of me here listening to you, I'm listening to what that attorney's got to say rather than what you're saying sometimes. I'm not saying they lie, but they kind of stretch it a little bit sometimes too. So that's the reason I'm leery. And I hope you understand that. Nothing against you.
What we could do, Representative Shaw and Mr. Tsuda, is any information that is brought back, if this was to pass today, then we would put all information on Tribal Council portal. All information on Tribal Council portal. Remember, when you're dealing with legal things, you know, it's important to know, obviously, the way we're structured in the Seminole Nation, as bands, we share everything with our people, and that's fine. But everything can be sent to the General Counsel Secretary because she reports directly to the council. As chairman of the council, I do as well. So that can be the means of his reporting and sharing with the council. We will then work together with the General Counsel Secretary and get it to the band chiefs of the Seminole Nation as well. Very important measure. Good questions by everybody.
Oh, we're gonna put that in black and white because the other part is in black and white about reporting to the AG. Is that gonna be deleted, struck from that? Because
I think probably it is said that because a lot of areas in Title II, which is the justice title, has legal means going through the Attorney General. What we can do, because of the powers of the council, you can have it this way, the way I have explained it, and we can directly report it to the council on the portal and to the band chiefs as well. We
I
can
don't
do
have a
it.
problem with that, but I
Yeah.
just didn't want it going.
And as far as the word, if we say it, it will be done.
Okay, now, I'll stop there because it don't seem like our AG at times is working for us, because everything we ask, she goes to you as administration. She doesn't work for administration. This council hired that firm, and we're not getting full service. Let me put it that way, on my part, my feelings. So you can understand where I'm coming from. Nothing against anybody or anything, but let's get it out here and get it open. That's all I gotta say. But open.
That's all. Representative Billy's hand and then Representative Borba.
Yes, sir. I agree with Mr. Shaw in reference to the reasonable expenses. Your idea of reasonable and mine are totally different. And as far as your statement that you would share with the chief, any outstanding or whatever you call it, expenses, that's okay, but it's the council here that are going to hire you. As far as I'm concerned, as far as you're letting the chief know, that's not correct. You need to let the council know that what your expenses are going to be. So, I mean, that's what I'm looking at right now. If this does pass, another issue is it was amended to flight arrangements to and from. I think that as much as the council is going to do, if we do hire you, that you can do your own travel. I mean, that's just my opinion. I yield the floor.
Representative Borba?
Yes, I think we should feel honored to have a person of such high caliber as Mr. Tsuda. You know, he has such vast experience in our federal government. And at least we not forget that he also has family ties with the Seminole Nation. He said he was kin to the Williams family. And his family has ties to New Lima School. So it's not like it's someone who has not been around our people. So I think we should feel honored, Madam.
Representative Sampson?
On this matter, voting in Mr. Soto for this job, is he willing to work with another attorney for the freedmen? Because we stand at a disadvantage here.
Okay, I believe this measure is just limited to this.
Well, the reason I'm saying that, because in the past, all these things come up, and we're part of this nation. And when it comes to money, the freedmen are totally ignored, and we have every right in these matters.
As far as the language in this, it
You
goes
left
back
the
to
freedmen out,
LTs.
right?
Anybody who, it goes back to that original language of the law.
But the freedmen are left out of it. This is my argument. I want it well noted that we will be seeking an attorney in this matter.
Okay, it's noted, but I do believe that Freeman received allotments. Yes, please.
Hello, turn it up just a little bit, please. We had. Check. Check 1, 2. We had 23 years ago, some of these same questions came up, Representative Sampson. We had a public meeting that I thought answered some of those questions as well. We had that public meeting because it was a request to Representative Shaw to do so before this council meeting. And we did. We didn't have people standing at the door to get in, but we met and we had good conversation that evening. There was great comments by Mr. Factor, Rodney Factor, and of course, Bill Wantlin. I tried to expound where I could as well. And even when it was being presented back then, the freemen were mentioned, in the area because they held allotments. Now, I know that if you want a clear language, you may not get that today, but we had the understanding that freemen were also
allotments as well.
Do you remember during this time, we were put out of this tribe?
During this period of time, I mentioned it earlier, the referendum vote.
Well, see, this is where we're at today.
And that whole thing, I was a special witness for this tribal.
And you said that you were going to have meetings. There's not only Seminoles down here. There's Seminoles in Oklahoma City. There's Seminoles in Tulsa. These people are not in the understanding of what you're doing until after it's done. All you're telling people is it's money, money, money. And you're only in one area. You're not even giving the chance to all of the nation to even make a decision.
I'm not the one in Washington, D.C. asking that the federal government stop all federal funds to the Seminole Nation of Oklahoma. And if you remember right, as the assistant chief of this nation, I called the freedmen on doing that very thing. And it did not take no place in Nahasda either, did it? Before the Senate Committee of Indian Affairs, we stated our case. And Nahasda was passed again just a few weeks ago. And they were not listening to the rhetoric that was being brought by the highest offices of this land, as well as some of the things that were being said. I said those things as the assistant chief. I say those things now as the chief of the Seminole Nation.
As well as you was chief with Chilco.
Not one of you, not one of you. I don't care if it's freedmen or Seminoles by blood. You do not have the authority to go to D.C. on your own and request of anything on behalf of this nation. You must be delegated to do so. I want to make that clear.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chief. Thank you, Assistant Chief. Can we have some clarification? Are we willing as a council to send a letter to the United States Senate Committee of Indian Affairs clarifying that we are asking for our mineral rights, and that also includes our freedmen according to the 1866 treaty? Their rights are included.
Point of order,
are we
we're on
willing to
Tribal Resolution 2023-54.
Okay, noted. But again, just for clarity, it's for all tribal members that were enrolled that received allotments. So tribal members, tribal citizen, tribal member, tribal citizen, anyone that was enrolled on the Dawes Roll that received allotments. That original language by default includes, Mr. Tsuda, if you have any information or any other comments regarding that clarity of who that includes or who that excludes.
So I don't have, any of the historical documents for that. What I would add, and Chief, you know the history as well as anyone, I've been on you for that. But let me add, what we're talking about is going to require support from administration officials, it's going to require support from members of Congress. And I would suggest that the best chance of success is not to have something that splits the nation, into different factions. That would distract from the overall goal of getting the mineral claim settled. So I would suggest that the best opportunity to do this would be for the nation to be united, all the members of the nation to be united in this. Everybody feel really supportive of it, because if there is a group that feels they're slighted, they're probably going to have members of Congress who will listen to them and then raise objections. And that is something that will sidetrack our larger effort on mineral claim. So the best opportunity for the nation will be for all the nation to be united together, understanding that they will be treated equally, because I think that's how Congress will approach it, to treat all of the members equally. As you said, particularly all those who had allotments and we're on the rolls in those days, of course, we want to treat them equally in whatever settlement legislation that we achieve. So I think everybody will be covered. If they're not, the legislation probably will not go forward. That would be my best guess and my advice on how to approach it.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other discussion on this item?
You heard the former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Indian Affairs. We had cooperation with the Black Caucus as well as the NAACP back 23 years ago on this measure. So it's not like we hadn't done that before. And what had happened, you know, there was a referendum, and whatever took place, took place. Everybody knows what took place. You're hearing what Mr. Tasuda is saying. Why don't some of you speak up? We're in discussion on that matter that Mrs. Sampson has brought up. Speak. You're the Seminole people representing your bands, representing us. He said if we don't do it as a combined effort of all of our peoples, both Seminole members by blood and Seminole citizens, it has a less chance of hearing the ears of Congress. And let me tell you this, it is a fact that there are social injustices and racial injustices in this country of ours called the United States. And it's a high shelf issue today at the highest levels of government. So with that being said, why don't some of you that represent Seminoles by blood speak up at this time? If there can be an amendment so that Mr. Tasuda can have the best opportunities as he deals with the higher decision makers in Washington, if this was to pass, to work for the benefit of the Seminole Nation. Anyone have anything to say? Representative Gonzalez. Oh, here's the chair.
Representative Gonzalez.
Thank you, Chair. I'd just like to say to all the council members and anyone that's listening, this issue of mineral rights has been going on for many years. And those of you that have been interested in politics and that know your tribe and your tribe's history know that this is a fact. We've had many of our chiefs pursue this. Many of them tried and tried and tried. The last time that this council, when I was on this council, went for the mineral rights, we had a lobbyist. And that was, I believe it was about 7 years ago. We had a lobbyist in Washington. And that was supposed to continue, but I believe 6 years ago, it was stopped. But we did have a lobbyist there. And many of our elders, I have an elder in my band who is 99 years old, who still asks about the mineral rights, because this is a long time coming. So there is no reason for us not to pursue it. These are monies that are due us. The United States government owes us this money, and it would be foolish of us not to pursue it and not to use a person that has knowledge and has the ability to speak on our behalf. So I wish that you would all think about that and consider it. And if you didn't know about it and know your history, then you really should go back, look at all the resolutions, and learn what everybody has done to try to get the mineral rights. I know that Jerry Haney and the last chief was Kelly Haney and Chief Leonard Harjo. So if you just go back and look at those things, you'll know that all our chiefs have been involved in this. Mado.
I recognize Mr. Representative Shaw, and then
I'll tell you what, we're sitting here haggling over something right here. We don't even have proverbial pot or a window to throw it out of right now. We're sitting here arguing over monies that we don't even have. I think that this argument needs to be pursued later, but right now, let's get the money and then we can fight over it. But, yeah, I'm to the point where, my band has gone for years and years with all this. And I gave you all the history of it, going way back as far as when I was a little boy on this. But we need to, if we're gonna pursue it, let's pursue it. If we're not, then let's throw it out the window and forget about it. But, am I gonna get this? Am I gonna get that? Wait till the money gets here and then we'll see who gets what. Now, years ago, I don't know, Mr. Cudjoe, the Cudjoe twins, who did they represent? They in turn said they sat down with the council and said they would take X amount of dollars and they would pull out of the tribe and start their own tribe. We told them, that's up to y'all. But we were told then that because of the allotments and the Allotment Act, whether the freedmen had oil or no oil, they would participate in this mineral rights claim. And I think that's been said several times right here very clearly. I, for one, I'm tired of the haggling over it. Let's get it done, get it over with. If we're gonna do it, let's do it. If we're not, let's don't sit here and argue about it. So therefore, I'm gonna go ahead and, I think the question's been called for once, I'm gonna call for it this time. That's all I have to say.
Okay, Representative Pittman had her hand up for a while, so we'll hear that. Thank you for those comments, Representative Shaw. And as far as, and I know the concern is like the Florida land claims money, you know, which became the judgment fund. But Congress had the Seminole Nation to develop a usage plan. And a lot of what was in Congress was as the Seminole Nation existed as of 1823. That was as the Congress of the United States seen the Seminole Nation existing. So that's why all that language is in the judgment fund law. And these particular happenings happened long after the Treaty of 1866 and happened whenever, after the allotment period, and then whenever minerals began to be found. As it was stated at the public meeting, it was said that it was to equalize for those that did not have the same type of resources on their lands back at that time. So our leaders of that time were very heavy thinkers, deep thinkers, and they didn't let political qualms and things divide them. They made decisions based on what was best for the overall welfare of the Seminole Nation and its people. So Representative Pittman, you had the floor. There's no other comments after her. We'll go to question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the council, if we want to move forward, we can entertain a friendly amendment to this that is very clear. We have information, we have evidence, we have documents as to the reason why Congress has halted the mineral rights to the Seminole Nation. And it is because the freedmen were excluded. If we want this mineral rights funding and the 6% interest that is also owed, so there's more funding on the table than what we're discussing. I know that the bill includes what the vote is on today is whether or not to hire this young man who has all these credentials. But in the interest of, we move at the speed of trust. And the freedmen have been voting to support the Seminole Nation for 23 years. And they still get documents saying we want to disseminate funds to the Seminoles by blood only. It's in writing. So Congress has made a stand to say that our nation will not receive the funding unless the freedmen are included. So with his counsel, he's telling us right now, before we spend the money to hire him and send him on this journey, that we're not going to be successful unless we decide as a council that every citizen and every member will be included in the disbursement, which I believe our chief has great vision of healing this nation and unifying us. But if we don't, we can talk about it all day long, but if we don't amend the instructions that we're going to give this council who's going to represent us in Congress, the investigation has already begun. And Congress is being challenged through the United States Senate Committee on Indian Affairs. They're being challenged on their accountability of how they enforced the 1866 treaty. We all know freedmen's were allotted land. Freedmen's are entitled to every single right of all of the members by blood. And that's why it was halted 7 years ago. That's why the discussion of 23 years ago is now before us again, because we as a nation have not put anything in writing. This council has not voted to include our freedmen members, which is going to keep us from hurting ourselves. I serve on the finance committee. My interest is in bringing funding to this tribe so we can economically move forward together. We can vote on this, we can vote it up, we can vote it down. Whatever we decide, until we decide to be inclusive of all of the members or all of the citizens equally, we're going to keep fighting Congress, and new members are going to come into Congress, and the investigation is going to continue, and we're not going to receive the funding that we are owed from 23 years ago, from 50 years ago, plus the interest that comes with it. Madam.
I respect your words, but I will say this, as far as the Senate Committee on Indian Affairs, when we were there a year ago, July, it was stacked. We had congressmen from California, congresswoman from California, speak for 25 to 30 minutes. We were sandwiched, with all due respect, to the Cherokee Nation by their principal chief, and then by their Cherokee freedmen represented on the other side. When I said we were sandwiched, I'm talking about the Seminole Nation, the Chickasaw Nation, the Choctaw Nation, and the Muskogee Creek Nation. Everybody can go back and look at that. We did not buckle our knees because we were outnumbered and they were given all the time and we were given 5 minutes. But we stated the facts, not conjecture, not sensationalism, not anything else, but the facts of the Treaty of 1866. Tell me, Ms. Pittman, how many times is the freedmen mentioned in the Treaty of 1866? Anybody know? Once. Article 3. And the article that's been discussed so much at different levels, persons of African descent and their descendants. Article 3 mentions about the unassigned land. I mean, not the unassigned land, but lands that's going to be designated to other Indian tribes, right? And freedmen to live thereon. That's what it talks about. That was the only time freedmen was ever mentioned. So we don't do conjecture. We don't do sensationalism. We don't do things to try to get the ear of leaders up there. Though we have to tell a story. Mr. Tsuda said we have to tell the story. And he's going to come back and tell us most likely what he just said, that we better be uniformed and united if we're going to think Congress is going to make a determination on this type of thing. Okay? And uniform and united means as simple measure as having an understanding. He's going to come back, if we were to hire him today, he's going to say the same thing that he said earlier. And he says, unless. That's most likely historical reason. I'm not making one stand or the other. I'm not saying this or that, but I'm saying how Congress believes and how the attitudes are on social and racial injustices are in the United States of America. And therefore, these are just truths that is being said to you from your chairman, to you as a council. It doesn't mean that we can't vote on it today. And if Mr. Tsuda says, whoop, no way, they're not doing it, he's not going to wait till the 12th month to tell us. Mr. Tsuda, are you still on? Mr. Tsuda?
Yes, Chief. Yes, Chief, I'm still here.
I heard what you said early on. But if that takes place, if you are hired today, you will let us know as soon as possible officially what's being said on the Hill. Will you not?
Yes, sir.
As far as the freedmen are concerned?
Yes.
Yes, you will. Okay? So that shouldn't affect what takes place today in the present writing. So one shouldn't try to force to change the legislation today that the bands have not seen. But if he comes back with a report and it says this is the only chance that you have to get it, obviously we got a decision to make, don't we? As a nation. Okay. No other further questions? Oh, Representative Fixico?
Hello? I'd like to say, there's an elder on the stage over there. He came last Saturday also. He has a concern of what's happening today. He's been here. He's heard it. I think we should go forth myself, because we got to start. Time has gone by, and y'all say money, money, money. But he says we have money. If there is money, let's pursue it for the concern of those elders. He's sitting up there, he's concerned. There are others out there that are concerned about it, that it's been out there for years. But, you know, we have to start. Let's start. Let's go forward. I'm for it because I've heard it many times too when I was younger. And you got somebody concerned sitting right there. And he came last Saturday. There wasn't a lot of people here Saturday. But he was concerned, he came. But I want to see them elders have something. It's not going to be fast, we know, but we got to fight the Congress. And what Watland said also last week was very important. I thought it was very informational. He had a lot of information. Again? Okay.
Your comments are appreciated, Representative Fixico, as well as everyone who has spoken on this matter today. Representative Petit, you have something else?
Well, I think some members of my band had a question about, is there an offset in the contingency part of your fee where I think they recognized, I think someone had said $120-something million had already been awarded under this discussion by the ICC? Will there be an offset of that particular amount should you recover more money in addition to this, I guess, stated fee that you have, your contingency portion?
Mr. Tsuda, could you hear that? You're asking the question to him.
Chief,
Representative
I
Petit.
didn't quite understand what the question was.
Okay, it's basically, you stated the other day that there had already been, the ICC had made an award, I think, of, let me look at my notes, I think there's $120-something million.
Oh, I can answer that.
And what some in my band want to know is, under the contingency portion of this contract that they want to enter into with you, is there an offset for that monies which have already been awarded? And will your contingency fee be in relation to any excess amount above that portion?
Mr. Tasuda, he's talking about our overall Indian Claims Commission challenges. I think what had happened in minerals originally, and Mr. Shaw, you'll remember this, they originally awarded it to the Seminole Nation, but the commission sunsetted at that point in time, and there was new people that came aboard on the Indian Claims Commission. And then they reversed the original decision that was made by the Court of Claims. So there was a lot of different cases before the Court of Claims throughout of all Indian country. The Seminole Nation's cases was this one, the Florida Lands Claims, which we call our judgment fund. There was a railroad, there was Emahaga, maybe one more as well. It leaves my mind at this moment. But whatever settlements were given in those particular cases, they're not going to offset this specific one. And normally how Congress does, at least historically, if we're owed $500 million, according to the figures, you usually don't get that whole amount in the settlement. I'm going to share just a little bit that drove my heart to sorrow as I learned it. There's always somewhere in life you learn something you didn't know. And when I learned that during the Florida Lands Claims, what became the judgment fund, you know what the United States was trying to collect on before they gave up the total award? They was trying to take away the chains, shackles of the expenses of those things that were shackled to Seminole warriors back at that time during the removal. When I first found that out, historically, it hurt my heart. But always they look for things to take away before they come to the final distribution. The last talks when Wes Watkins was going to introduce the bill a few years ago was around 95 to 110 million. It could be more now. It should be more, but it's somewhere around that figure. Okay, somewhere around that figure, most likely. So, but anyway, no, they won't have no offsets because we took the Florida Lands Claims. This is a total different case. And I'm going to say this, what I said about Murphy and McGirt before anything was ever said. I said this as the assistant chief out in public meetings. I said, if the United States does right by Indian country, this case will prevail. And I said that publicly, not just with among Indians. I said that among non-Indians. And I said, don't be afraid. It could be beneficial for all of us that live within the reservation. And I said that before that case was ever settled. And when it came to this council, Rodney brought it to my attention as assistant chief. And then I brought it to the attention of the council. And the rest is history. So there's merit here, okay? There's merit in this. And that's should have answered your question.
I yield.
All right, Secretary, call the roll. This is the bill, a tribal resolution of the Seminole Nation of Oklahoma, authorizing special legal services contract with John Tasuda III to pursue the mineral claims before the Congress of the United States of America and for other purposes.
Leetta Sampson,
No.
Anthony Conley,
No.
John Narkemy,
Yes.
Rena Tiger,
Yes.
Anastasia Pittman,
No.
Terry Edwards,
No.
Ida Gonzalez,
Yes.
Nancy Fixico,
Yes.
Leon Petit,
Yes.
Joseph Billy, Karen Fulbright,
Yes.
Ann Borba,
Yes.
Stephanie Lambert,
Yes.
Sina Yeslith,
Yes.
Lottie Cootie,
No.
Marilyn Moore, Henson Lena,
Yes.
David Frank,
Yes.
Tiffany Thunder,
Yes.
Wayne Shaw,
Yes.
Catherine McCoy,
No.
Charlie Hill,
No.
Tommy Chupko,
Yes.
Danita Harjo,
Yes.
Willis Dethridge,
Yes.
Desiree Emerton.
Yes.
I have 19 yeses, 9 noes, 0 abstain.
With a count of 19 yes, 9 noes, and 0 abstentions, I declare that TR 2023-54 has passed. And congratulations, council. Thank you for moving us forward in this matter. And congratulations, Mr. John Tasuda. We're looking forward to seeing how you advance this cause on behalf of the well-being of the Seminole members and the Seminole Nation of Oklahoma. Thank you for coming and representing yourself and your firm as well this past couple of weeks ago. And this is a historical moment once again for us as the Seminole Nation. We pray that the Creator be with us. And if the United States does what's right by the Seminole Nation of Oklahoma, we should be able to prevail in this. So thank you very much, Mr. Tasuda. Do you have any closing comments?
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Council, for entrusting me with this. I will give my best efforts to represent you honorably. And as Chief said, I pray that the United States does the right thing. You are in the right, just have to get the United States to recognize it. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Council.
Chair, can I get a recount on the vote, please? Because I don't know if that was correct. We don't have that many on the floor.
I see it.
Can you recount that, please?
I see it.
It's still passed, but there might be a few numbers off there.
Yeah, I mean, it,
I have
Pass.
17 yeses,
Yeah,
9 noes, 0 abstain.
yeah, that's correct. That's what I have. I mean, I'm not saying I'm correct, but that's what I have.
I thank you for everyone paying attention to that count. It did pass 17-9-0. So that's a correction of the count and the roll call. So TR 2023-54, 17-9-0. I declare that to have passed. Okay, we have TR 2023-56. And what I do need to do is check to see via teleconference or Ring Central, are the 3 companies with us this morning? Or are you tuned in? Maple Leaf, Warner, and
LDJ, LJD,
or
LJD.
LJD, yes. I don't have that in front of me, but LJD. Are all 3 of those companies represented via virtual? Are you with us?
Yes, Chief Johnson, Maple Leaf is present.
Maple Leaf is present. How about Warner? Warner, are you with us this morning? I know that the director of IT, the admin, sent everybody a link asking them to be here this morning in case the general counsel had any additional questions. How about SNGE? Were you contacted that the others were going to be with us this morning as well? How about IT? Oh, I'm not turning around. Let me see.
Chief Johnson, I saw Bill Warner on with us. I see he's at telephone number 702. He's muted, but I see him.
Mr.
heard from
Warner?
him this morning. He should be with us.
Mr. Warner, if you can hear me, unmute yourself, please.
I don't know how to. Okay, yes, I'm on. I'm sorry.
Okay, you're fine. Thank you, gentlemen, for being with us this morning, the General Counsel of the Seminole Nation. How about LJD? Do we have a representative from them?
LJB is present.
Okay, Dennis, thank you for being with us this morning. What we'll
We also
do,
have Terrence Padilla is online with us as well.
okay, be listening very closely, gentlemen. If the General Counsel has a question for any one of you companies, will the council please address them by the name of their company? Maple Leaf, Warner, and LJD. So that's the order that they gave the presentations in a couple weeks ago. So if you have a question for any of them, I entertain a motion to the effect to TR 2023-56, and if the council decides to fill in their choice, we'll fill it in where the whereas is where it's blank. So I entertain a motion to get it to the floor for discussion. Motion by Willis Dethridge, seconded by Stephanie Lambert. So we have this resolution on the floor of the General Counsel of the Seminole Nation. As the mineral claims could potentially be a historical moment in our history as the Seminole Nation of Oklahoma, this resolution as well could have the historical and economic impact of such as well. So I pray that everybody did what they could to be able to hear from their band members, to be able to address appropriately today what is before us. So we got a motion and a second. Any questions for any of these companies? And please call them by name. Representative Petit.
Yes, LJD, I believe you just said that you and your attorney are present. On this consultant fee with the 6-month initial startup, will we receive an interim report at that time if we were to proceed monthly after that?
I'm not sure. Louis Campley is on the phone.
Okay, Mr. Campley, could you turn Mr. Petit up, Representative Petit? They may not be able to hear him very clearly. Mr. Petit, Representative Petit, could you repeat your question?
During your presentation, you indicated that this would be a 6-month initial startup contract and then monthly thereafter. And what I was wanting to know was, will your company provide an interim report at the 6-month interval prior to proceeding with the monthly reports or monthly progression? Should we stay with you after that date?
Yes, this is Dennis Floge. Respond to that question. We can give you a report monthly if you would like, or as was discussed during our initial meeting. We respect the fact that we work for you, and we will report to you regularly.
Okay, I think that was my question. Knowing that we had an initial report or interim report because of the time being short, less than a year. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Give a few minutes to each company to say some words today before that we go to the vote, or however we proceed. I'm not sure how we're going to proceed because there's 3 companies. Yeah. But, give them a little time.
Mr. Shepherd, do you have something you'd like to add?
here?
Is it okay for the chairman of the SNGE to approach the council floor at this time? Any objections? Chair, this is the board member for Seminole Nation Gaming Enterprise. If there's no objections, I'm sorry, I'm acting like the chair, aren't I?
I should have asked that. Mr. Shepherd?
Can everybody hear me? This microphone. I know that there was a lot of information presented in the 3 proposals 2 weeks ago. During the band chiefs meeting on Monday, I brought the group that helped us review the proposals and kind of point out different things in the proposals, and that's the innovation group. And I have 2 representatives here today. I asked them to be here to help potentially answer any questions and or even give their review of the proposals. I think they do have a slideshow, but that wasn't something that was positioned on the agenda, but I felt like it'd be necessary to have them here just in case there were more questions. The more questions we can answer, I think the better everybody's going to feel about what's going to happen. And I would rather be more transparent and try to answer any questions and get to the answer than try to push something fast by everybody. And so, but I do have the innovation group here. If it would be allowable to the general counsel to come to the floor to answer any questions and or even present their slideshow to you on the 3 proposals.
Sure. Thank you, Chair. They did do an analysis. So Mr. Shepherd did ask me as the chair if they could possibly, have, come before the council. It was after the agenda was set, but because it's what we would call germane to the total picture here, I wouldn't see opposing, someone that was paid to do an analysis on our gaming to be able to present. But I will say this, SNGE also hired another company called, what's the company's name? Was it Casino Soft? I'm going to share this with you. Chief of the Nation, I don't appreciate that report. I don't want to tell you why. That company, in my opinion, should have been hired to do what? Give suggestions and give recommendations. But instead, when the paperwork was handed out for that company, they sounded like they was part of our gaming regulatory agency. And that was wrong. They were consultants. And come to find out, I checked with our gaming regulatory agency, and most of all that they said had no bearing at all. I don't want things handed out to anyone that is not factual, because it caused a disturbance in this nation. It caused a disturbance in this tribe. And we're not about division here. When it's my time to leave this position that I hope that is set by me. I didn't cause division, but I tried to bring us together, increments at a time, increments at a time. But that particular report, in my opinion, should have never been handed out to anybody, because they acted like they was the regulatory agency. The regulatory agency disputed their claims. They disputed their claims, because that's who I go to, is the regulatory agency, not somebody who gets paid to give suggestions and recommendations and then act like they're some kind of regulatory agency over us. I don't appreciate that as the principal chief of the Seminole Nation. But I will say this, if the council allows these folks to come and speak, don't you give us conjecture. Don't you give us sensationalism. Don't give us this or that. Just tell us what you got. So don't do no conjecture and sensationalism here. This is the Honorable General Counsel of the Seminole Nation of Oklahoma. Does the council want them to come?
Question, is this another consulting group? I think we had ample time to give the others. Why weren't they here when we gave the rest of their time?
This isn't that kind of consulting group. This consulting group did an analysis of our gaming situation, our gaming structure, our shortcomings, what our strengths are, if there are any.
So they're not trying to be a part of these three?
No, absolutely
three?
not, absolutely.
Okay, now, then I have this question then. Are they under contract with the nation? Are they under contract with Gaming Enterprise?
They were contracted to help review the proposals when the proposals were submitted, based off of the RFP that was submitted out to the different gaming entities.
Not trying to be hard-nosed or anything, but, you know, anytime a contract is given to anybody out there, that Constitution says it comes through this group here. I've never seen any of that. And then this letter or whatever, the administration was talking about, I think everybody ought to see it. If we're gonna talk, if someone's got it, we all ought to get it. I didn't get one. I wanna read it too. I might agree with him. I don't know. But right now, not everybody got it, so he's chastising the very few that we don't even know what's going on. So we're sitting here like, you know, frogs on a log, and it just beats you and the water's clear. But we don't know that. And then he comes up and throws this in here, puts Ripple in the water, and I don't know what he's talking about.
Representative Shaw, you're confusing the matter, because who that sheet was handed down to, who went up there to the interstate and wanted to meet with the interim manager and Robin, the former S&G board member. That's when it was handed out.
I did not see it. I was up there.
That's when it was commented on. That's where it was written. And it wasn't worth the paper it was written on, to tell you the truth.
Representative Lena?
Yes, I feel that since these gentlemen took the time to be here, that we should give them the opportunity to speak and explain, you know, so we can hear what they have to say.
Okay, I haven't heard any objections, so. No objections?
There it is.
Y'all were racing there, so.
I know, we're racing. I want to put a time limit on there, 15 minutes max.
Agreed. Okay, gentlemen?
And I'll say just that all of this is based off of numbers and facts, what will be presented, and then I'll have them kind of go through, and then, but also I think there'll probably be some questions. So if you guys can make sure to leave in that time frame some time for questions, because I think they can help answer a lot of questions, hopefully, and again, try to help just get us where we need to be to make a good decision. So.
Thank you. From here, does this work? Okay. All right. So first of all, thank you for having us this morning. My name is Michael, and my partner here, Brian. We head up the innovation group. Our company essentially looks at both projects and the business of gaming, new projects, ongoing projects, operations, soup to nuts. And in this case, we were retained to evaluate the 3 proposals that have come in for management and services. And we also are working on a very important complementary project, which stands alone, which looks at the current gaming operations and their potential future development opportunities, whether that be small amenities like restaurants and new VIP areas, or whether that be a major new resort development. We're looking at what's possible for the future. So we're using the information on our research side and applying it to the information we're using to look at these proposals where it's relevant. So in our few minutes we have, we're just going to describe what we were asked to do. We're going to talk quickly about why we're doing this work, why it's us doing it. We're going to compare the operator proposals so that you have all the facts and the appropriate color. So if you read through this, and this is the actual RFP language that we submitted. So this memorializes that for the enterprise, we are to accomplish the goals in evaluating these RFPs that I just went through and evaluate the management and ongoing partnership opportunities that are being presented to the nation. So personally, and I want Brian to do this too, because if you don't trust what we're telling you, then it's not going to help you. So I've been working with tribes since 1992. I've also worked on all other sides of the industry. And if you look in the middle of the chart here, some of these are hard to read, but this just shows the different parts of the industry we've been involved in. So whether it's been for a sovereign government, a US state, an international government, a commercial operator like the three people proposing right now, or any other interest like a developer or a bank, investment bank, the work that we do supports most of what they're involved in. I've been both with Caesars and Hard Rock and worked for your original tribal brothers in Florida and as an employee. And I've also been involved as a consultant now with tribes for many years in looking also at economic impacts. And so while this is not an economic impact assessment, the community, however many bands there are, however many different ethnicities are involved, we're serving the community. So when we look at you, we're looking at the same group of people all the time.
Mado for inviting us. My name is Brian. I'm one of Michael's partners at the Innovation Group. My background is in math, finance, gaming operations. Before I worked with Michael, I worked at Pinnacle Entertainment, which is now part of Penn National Gaming, which is a nationwide operator with 40 or more casinos at this point. Michael really led the analysis of the responses to the RFP, and my role is a little bit more on the research and operations side of the business.
Okay, oops, sorry. And just, I've already talked about the firm. I don't have to keep selling us, but I do want you to know that we have a group of about 20 people in 4 different offices supporting our work. It's not just the 2 of us, but they all work for us. And the fact that we're here and not them is because this is very important to the nation. It's very important to us. Okay, so again, looking at consulting service opportunities, you guys will recall that originally there were 4 proposals: the LJD Gaming Consultants proposal, Maple Leaf Gaming. Initially, the Muskogee Nation Gaming Group had turned in a proposal, and Warner Gaming. And as you know, there are 3 on the phone, excluding Muskogee Nation, who early in the process had to drop out for reasons that we were not privy to, but we didn't have to continue to follow their trajectory. But the numbers are here if you want to compare them. There's a few pages here. This page is all about the numbers, the finance, and the dollars. So the very first line here is what you are asking your proponents to explain in terms of their consulting fee for the work they're going to do as soon as they start working within the operation, whether it's to enhance it, stabilize it. So for LJD, you can see this is annualized at about $240,000 a year. Maple Leaf has not requested a consulting fee to our knowledge. And Warner Gaming is at about $600,000 a year as the base. The management fee itself, which kicks in after they actually go under contract with the enterprise and the tribe to run the casino, the fees are for LJD to be determined later. For Maple Leaf, $1.8 million annually.
Maple Leaf did submit an addendum earlier this week, and it did have some financials, so let me get those.
Well, just let them speak up. Are they on the phone? What are your financials, guys?
Yes. Maple Leaf had submitted an addendum on their financials, or at least what they presented that Yep. I just wanted to make sure when this was put together, the addendum that was sent out by Maple Leaf earlier this week was not given to, or not, did not make it to this report. And so I want to make sure that Maple Leaf is well represented in what they positioned the addendum, because they did present, I think, some of the consulting fee in that addendum, if you recall seeing it earlier this week. So I just want to make sure that they have their information on there and everybody's on the same playing field. So, but this was created prior to that, so.
Thank you.
So we can see if there are any differences or corrections later. But at this point, their management fee was for 1.8 million a year, and then Warner Gaming, 600,000 a year, like we said. Profit or loss share. So this is whether your partner, your operator or manager, how much of their fee they're going to operate and take from the revenue side of the equation, which is not subject to their performance. It comes right off the top before any money goes anywhere. And then there's something called the profit loss share, which is based just on the money that they have earned for you. So we call that an incentive. So I'm going to go through this line carefully. On the profit loss share, LJD in both cases for management fee and loss, they want to evaluate the properties before they give you the numbers, the proposal. More so than they've been able to do already. Maple Leaf, they're on top of their 1.1 million fee, they want 10% of incremental revenue. Incremental here means really all the revenue above what is generated today in the 3 properties. And Warner Gaming has proposed, in addition to its $600,000 base, 25% of incremental EBITDA. That's from the profit side. So the 10% that you see under Maple Leaf is equal to about 2.5% under Warner, just in terms of the math itself. But it doesn't represent any numbers yet. And then the proposed length, there wasn't a lot of discussion of it because we'll be under NIGC stipulations to get up with some of those contract years anyway. So it's not really a factor yet. Just very quickly, we can do this one. We, by way of disclosure, know both Maple Leaf and Warner Gaming very well, and we have not had a single discussion with them either about this project or even since we received this project. We've done research into LJD to familiarize ourselves with their operations, where they are in the industry. And the sum of it is LJD is essentially an individual, very competent individual, general management history, who's planning to build a team to run your properties. That has benefits in terms of the intimacy and the attention that you get, and it has challenges in terms of the breadth of the team and experience that come together. But that's their plan. The guy comes in, he builds a team, and he runs the properties. Maple Leaf Gaming, the team is very diverse. As you read in the proposals, they've been involved in different types of projects in different types of the world, different parts of the world. They're more focused on development than operations, which explains why their proposal is really about building a new large resort, more so than about what to do with the existing 3 operations. And Maple Leaf's experience is the experience of those individuals. And within their team, there are individuals that have done each of the things that need to be done to develop this property and to operate a casino. And for Warner Gaming, his model is a little different. They work for multiple tribes and commercial businesses at the same time, exclusively to operate the casino and take a fee and pay the tribe essentially from its own bottom line. So they're responsible for operating it. They have a national team. They may have a marketing head that sits in another part of the country that brings new information and new ideas from other properties. So the network, in this case, has some value above the numbers. Very, very well respected across the board, these guys. So business plans. The call was not for a full business plan in the RFP submittal, but it was to give a sense of, what are you going to do with our business? You know, what's your initial thought? And for financial forecasts, which were not required, only Maple Leaf provided one, and it was association with a new resort, and they proposed a $350 million revenue. As far as feasibility planning, There isn't, we're working on feasibility assignments now that will give us information useful in this process, but no one offered up a specific feasibility study about what they would do, and I think that's okay. Marketing plans in general are awaiting evaluation. Staffing plans, it's a little bit early, although Maple Leaf plans a resort with a minimum of 2,000 direct jobs. Licensure and stability, this is essentially the same answer for everyone. Everyone that's been proposing projects to you has either been licensed or we believe can be licensed in the gaming jurisdiction, but we don't know them individually from a probity standpoint, and it's not our job, it's the regulator's job to investigate them, but there's no red flags. When we evaluated these, I just wanted to make sure everyone knew the things that we were thinking about and what they were required to submit. They gave their contact information, they gave their qualifications, they were asked to give an org chart, they were asked to state that they would not compete against themselves or against you as their manager. Workload, could they take it on? Types of problems, legal matters, consulting and management fees. They all filled in the blanks that were required. I'm going to let Brian take over now to go through pros and cons because he can actually bridge the gap into the summary discussion.
I think the challenge that we face reviewing the three proposals that are on the table is that they're so very different. And this isn't a simple matter of comparing the fees that one company proposes versus the fees that another company proposes, or even comparing their backgrounds and histories and ability to do the job. All three companies are competent. The challenge that we have is one that's going to face you, which is more philosophical. Do you want a single operator to come in, which is probably the most cost-effective option, but it's very limited in terms of the team that they bring in to enhance the operation? Do you want a very capable and longstanding operator who has a nationwide team, brings in a lot of those efficiencies that you would imagine from such a group, and you can be certain that that your operations will benefit from their being a part of them, and that you'll benefit financially from them being a part of them? Or do you want to go with the third option, the largest option, which is building, really an incredible proposed resort in the middle of Oklahoma, which obviously, if it is successful, rates to bring a ton of economic benefit to the tribe, the community. But, there's sort of a lot of question about, we don't know how much money that resort will make. We don't know how much money the water park will make or the hotels will make, right? So this is a very big project with carrying a lot more risk. And I think at the end of the day for us, what we can say confidently to you is that, Warner's track record is excellent. If you decide to go with Warner, that's sort of the middle of the road option. We think that, they will benefit you tremendously in your existing operations, and they will work with you to develop a plan if there's a growth plan available. The Maple Leaf plan is ambitious, and we think that, I guess, if you're going to go with the Maple Leaf plan, the guidance that we would propose, one is to not shut down your existing operation, to continue to try to reap cash flow from that as you develop a large resort, and two, to be cautious about the amount of debt that the tribe takes on as part of the project. With such economic benefit and developers that are confident in their proposal, we would advise that you ask them to carry more of the risk and minimize the risk incurred by the tribe. But we think that you have three outstanding proposals in front of you, and this is our kind of assessment of them. Like they're so very different that really this is a bigger question for you than who's going to operate your existing casinos the best, because any of them could. And our understanding is that in the Maple Leaf proposal, the existing casinos would probably be closed down early on while the development goes on. And so we would say, listen, if you're going to go with a large development, again, try to keep the cash flow from your existing operations, still work to optimize that, right, while you're building the larger project. So I'll pause there because I know we're at about time and there was sensitivity to a 15-minute number. I think we're at 17, so I apologize. But we are available to answer any questions that you may have should the time be allotted to us. Thank you so much for having us. Madam.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Palmer. And thank you, gentlemen, for that report as well. We got to recall some things that were brought up and pointed out. According to the presentations that were given, a couple of weeks ago, I think the question about if there was to be a closure by one of the companies, and I think you remember which one it was, then they have made plans for that. And I'll let them explain it. They know what company they were. So what we'll do is let the three companies in the order that they presented, based on what they not only heard with the analysis, but also based on what they presented to the council a couple of weeks ago, and any addendums that might have been made by their company since that presentation a couple of weeks ago. So we're going to go in that order. We're going to go in the order of Maple Leaf, Waring, and LJD. And gentlemen, can y'all all hear me?
Yes, we hear you, Chief Johnson. This is Casey Schulberg with Maple Leaf. May I address the council?
Okay. How about Warner? Are you with me?
I am, yes.
Okay. How about LJD? Are you with us as well?
LJD is present.
Okay, we're going to go in that order, gentlemen. Maple Leaf, Warren, and LJD. And you heard what the analysis said. You can comment if you think you have some clarity or whatever you want to comment. These are like closing statements of your company before that it goes to a vote before the General Council of the Seminole Nation. So Maple Leaf, the floor is yours. And Adam, if you would, turn them up. Turn all the presenters up.
Can you hear me? Can the council hear me? Can you all hear me? Adam, do we need to pump the sound at all? Hello?
Yes, turn them up just a little bit, please. And I'll turn my mic off.
Are we good to go? Yeah?
I believe they can.
Council hear us?
Don't turn me.
It sounds as though we don't have that audio issue resolved yet. Testing. Hello? Adam, can the council hear what I'm saying? And our members? We're going to have a couple of people speak. Can the council hear us?
We can hear you.
Yes, the council can hear. Thank you. You can proceed.
Can you hear us, Chief Johnson?
We can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you. You can proceed.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, we're sort of at a disadvantage here because we could not hear the Innovation Group's presentation very clearly. The audio was somewhat garbled. I'm speaking to you from the high Adirondack Mountains, the traditional lands of the Iroquois, the Mohawk, and the Abenaki. And we have 6 members of our team on the line, including our chairman, Mike Amon, who wants to say a word. But before we do, I wanted to say just a couple of things. Mike Ulizio, who's on the line with us, is our gaming operations managing director. And he was responsible for gaming operations, he and his team, at the Tampa Hard Rock, which is the most successful casino venue for the Hard Rock chain. He's thoroughly knowledgeable, and he will do an expert job at managing and pulling all of those compliance issues, resolving all those compliance issues, and ramping up the gaming for the Seminole Nation in the interim period, during the consulting phase. We, this is sort of our flagship in Oklahoma. We're going to be devoting a lot of time and attention to this venue and to this project. I'm the point person for Oklahoma. I plan to move to Oklahoma. I bought a home in Seminole. That's how important this project is to us. So in the first case, we feel we can ramp up your revenues. And if we get to the target figures that Mike Belizio is very confident he will get to, which is 225 wins per unit per day per machine. If we get there, the Seminole Nation could see annual revenues of close to $57 million. So we could map all that out for you. The other thing I want to say is we're at the very, very beginning of a partnership, and we are intent and determined to be a very good partner for the Seminole Nation of Oklahoma. So the proceeding, if we're able to be the recipient of this RFP proposal, we will sit with you, we will negotiate, we will figure things out, we will move forward. And this doesn't talk about our greater vision. No company in the nation is ready to step up with a $1 billion project to benefit the Seminole Nation of Oklahoma. This will bring untold numbers of jobs, untold economic uplift, and we've been putting the pieces in place for about 8-9 months on this project. Some of it is in abeyance because we couldn't execute on our feasibility studies, our geo licensing, some of that permitting stuff until we knew that we were the successful respondent. So we've had to put some of our plans in abeyance, but we're very excited to move forward. We also want to pay respect to the Warner Group and LJB. They put forward terrific proposals, and we respect the process. You're going about this very methodically, very systematically, and we really respect that. That's really how business should be concluded. So I want to just have Mike Among say a word, and then I'd like to have Mike Ulizio, our gaming operations director, say a word. Mike Among, are you on the line with us? He's in Vancouver.
I'm on the line. Can you hear me, Casey?
I can hear you. Can the council hear Mike Among?
Yes, Mr. Among, we can hear you.
Great.
Well, first of all, thank you for allowing us to participate in this process. Innovation Group is a very well-respected organization, and I have a great deal of admiration and respect for them. In fact, I worked with them before, so their advice is sound. The Warner Group, amazing reputation. In fact, I would love to be honored to look at some future projects and working and partnering with the Warner Group. So, and I'm sorry, but I'm not familiar with the third group, but it sounds like you guys put together a great proposal as well. Too. So I'm hoping to continue working with innovation, hopefully working closer with the Warner Group. Bill has an amazing reputation, and I think the difference is it's kind of like your mining. We were listening in on your mining thing. I think the decision is for me. We want to become more familiar with the organization and work closely on these regional casinos in order for us to successfully execute on the $1 billion project, as Casey alluded to. So it's kind of a decision. Do you want to remain regional or do you want to go global and become a landmark in the world, in the United States, and in Oklahoma, and put yourself on the map, just like Hard Rock Seminole Nation did when they had the vision to expand their organization. We can do the same thing for you in partnership in Oklahoma. So we look forward to the opportunity to do that. I think Casey outlined everything that we propose, and we have just a different vision, a larger vision. And if that's something that you guys want to do, then great. We're right behind you and right beside you and in partnership with you. So that's all I have to say. Looking forward to working with you.
Thank you, Mike. Mike Ulizio, do you want to say a word or two?
Yes, thank you, Casey. I just want to make sure, can everybody hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you, but just briefly reintroduce yourself. because the meeting was a few weeks ago. Thank you, sir.
Of course. Okay. My name is Mike Ulizio. I have been brought on board by Maple Leaf Gaming as their managing director of gaming operations. Quick background on me. I have spent 13 years with the Seminole Tribe of Florida, as Casey mentioned before, at the Hard Rock in Tampa. I've worked at the Hard Rock in Hollywood, ran the Immokalee Casino in there, and did work at all 6 casinos as well as at the tribal government office. I've worked at Rivers Pittsburgh. I've worked at Grayton in California, and most recently, I ran a temporary casino for the Catawbas in North Carolina as their president. And I see a lot of similarities between the Seminole Nation and the Catawbas with regards to location right off the interstate, kind of not in the most advantageous structure, but we'll make it work. We will be successful. I will tell everybody this, Warner, great, as Mike Among alluded, great reputation. I went into Catawba, we didn't even have the trailers up yet. And what I would tell you is, with my experience, I'd bet on myself 10 times out of 10. And we know how to operate a casino. As Mike and Casey led to earlier, this is going to be a big project that we have planned. And the one thing I would like to mention is I've been in the RFP process several times, both giving and receiving RFPs. And the key word in there is proposal. It's a proposal. We're asked to answer certain questions certain ways, and we do so because those are the questions that are asked, and we will do so in respect of the process. However, that's not the agreement. And the agreement can always be negotiated. As you guys know, going through the NIGC, these things are pretty in-depth agreements that need to be approved by the investigators and the governing bodies of the NIGC. I just spoke to Lee Pizzuti yesterday about one that he asked for my expert opinion on. So I believe, as you're going forward, it should be whoever you guys think is the best long-term relationship with the nation. I believe we can handle the intermediary step. I believe we can handle the development step and provide a very, very fruitful long-term relationship with the Seminole Nation. Just like I was with the Seminole Tribe of Florida for 13 years, just like KC goes back over 50 years with the Seminole Tribe of Florida. So thank you for allowing us to speak. Thank you for allowing us to present. And if successful, we will do the tribe very proud. Mado.
Great.
Any questions for Maple Leaf? Representative Cootie, this is any questions for Maple Leaf?
One of the questions that I would like to ask, you keep referring to Seminole Tribe of Florida and the Tampa area. I don't like to say this, but the Seminole Tribe of Florida has got the monopoly on their casino, and they got a big casino. I've been there. I've worked there. They have 2 casinos there, the big one and the little one, the one that they started with. And it's a tourist attraction area. And y'all keep referring to I-40 that we have here, but we've been on that location for a long time. And the people just don't turn off onto our casinos because there's other casinos along the way. And not only that, where are we going to get the people to come in to the casino? They're not all going to flock in just because we have nice big building or whatever. They have destination to reach, and they're going to go right by. And I'm sitting here thinking about it, and being in Florida. I worked in Tampa. It's a tourist attraction place there too. And there's a lot of people that you can draw from to make the kind of dollars that you're talking about. Sure, you can do that in Florida. You can do that in Tampa and Seminole Tribe of Florida and Miccosukee. So I can't see where we're going to make that kind of dollars that you're talking about. I'd love to say yes, it's a good location and we can do that. But you have to compare us to another casino that you work with that is located like us. And I have not heard anything. Every time I turn around, you're referring to Seminole Tribe of Florida. And like I said, 441, the road that goes right by the casino is really a busy traffic. And they draw people in. Like I said, it's a tourist attraction place. And so they can draw all those people in and make those kind of dollars and have big casinos. I was down there last year. And I went to Miccosukee, and that same way. They got monopoly on the casino. And but I'd like to think that we can do the same thing that they're doing, but we're not located like they are. So, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people don't want to listen to what I have to say, but that's what I see. Y'all have the buildings, y'all have the location that you can do all these things. So I'm wondering if you have any other casinos that you work with that's the size that we have here. And where are you going to draw all the people? We have everyday people that's locally. And we have little casinos in and around us. So, but that's my feeling. Everybody else got their own feelings. So I'm.
Sure.
Maybe Kate, I could add some thoughts.
All right.
Those are really good comments, and I understand your concern. The largest casino in North America is WinStar.
What?
And one of the most successful casinos in the world. So we believe that Oklahoma has a unique opportunity.
Hold on, gentlemen. Hold on, gentlemen. Let's get the sound right.
That particular casino. So what we're bringing to the table is long-term is football academy, Greg Norman golf course, 40 different restaurants, the largest country themed amusement park in the world. All sorts of additional attractions that'll bring people not only from Oklahoma, but from around the world to Oklahoma, to the Seminole Tribe of Oklahoma. We're going to build something very unique that will add value, but I understand your concerns. And then Mike has the experience to do the regional casinos.
Excuse me, sir.
You want to add your 2 cents?
Excuse me, sir.
Sure, I'm happy to, Mike. And yes, I've worked at Hard Rock, and I think to answer your question a little more directly, yes, Tampa is in a unique situation, but it also is incredibly professionally run. Hard Rock, Seminole Gaming is run incredibly professionally, which, maybe Tampa could only be half as successful if it weren't run professionally. So the Seminole Tribe of Florida's background is incredibly professionally run casinos. Now, to give you a specific example, I translated that professional experience onto the Catawba Nation's 2 Kings casinos in North Carolina. It was in 46 red trailers, and we had no food and beverage. We only had parking, and it was a brand new temporary facility, which to me is what's similar. So I compare the current operations to what I just did in North Carolina, and professionally run, updating some flood inventories, and working on some of the compliance issues. We can improve the operations of the current casino while leading into Mike's longer-term vision that he just brought up. So, yes, I said Seminole Tribe of Florida, that's where the majority of my experiences, but I believe, to answer your question directly, that the Catawba 2 Kings Casino temporary structure is the way we would have to operate this currently until we get to the larger vision.
Yeah, Representative Cootie, that is a very astute remark. And how do we put the Seminole Nation of Oklahoma on the map? The experience that Mike Ulizio had in North Carolina kind of replicates the challenge of this venue. It was not in a major metropolitan area, It was on an interstate, but it didn't have all that much going for it. So he'll bring that experience to this. And I'm quite confident that we can boost the attendance at all three casinos in the immediate future. We're also looking at acquiring land all the way to mile marker 197 on the I-40. Right now, as you know, the casino is the 200 exit, and we have talked to the Department of Transportation about reviving that rest stop, in which case that could be the grand entrance with an overpass, the grand entrance to the newly built resort. So once we get to that stage, we've started to do demographic studies on how we pull people from a 3-hour region by car, from a 3-hour region by plane. We've done our background homework on how to make this a successful venue, and we feel pretty confident we can get where we need to go. So once we have that 3 miles of frontage on I-40, we will be unequaled by any tribe in Florida, in Oklahoma. So we're feeling pretty bullish on it. The immediate steps are to get the really under-resourced and underperforming 3 casinos up to par. The average WPUPD for those 3 venues right now is 77. The national average is 125. So we're not even up to average par. And Mike Ulizio is quite confident that we don't know exactly the time frame, but in fairly short order, we can get that up to 225, which would basically double the revenues for the gaming operations, and that could be done in the foreseeable future. So we feel good about the short-term prospects and the long-term prospect. The long-term prospects are potentially transformational, not just for the Seminole Nation of Oklahoma, but for the entire region, creating jobs, creating economic opportunity, creating educational programs to train Native employees, Seminole employees. So we kind of got into that a little bit during our presentation 2 weeks ago. So we're also standing by to answer any other questions you might have. So thanks once again for that, and feel free to pepper us with additional questions as they come to mind.
Maybe one thing to add, Casey, and for the council's consideration, is we didn't just show up for this presentation, okay? We just didn't show up and make a presentation. We've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in this project, long-term, hundreds of thousands of dollars in rendering, in government, in lobbyists, in architects, in consultants, and we will continue to invest hundreds of thousands of dollars to make sure that our project is successful in partnership with you. We just weren't here because we want your business now. We want to be partners long-term with you, and we were willing to put our money where our mouth is. And we spent a lot of money, and we continue to spend a lot of money, making sure that we do the right thing for everyone involved.
Okay, gentlemen, we appreciate you being with us this morning. We're going to move on to Warner, and everybody can stay online if they wish to. But once that everybody presents, we'll ask that you go ahead and be cut off the line. And if the council, as the council makes their decisions at the end, then we'll get a hold of each and every one of you. We thank you for your time, your efforts, and your presentation, and for your professionalism in doing so. So Warner, you have the floor.
Excuse me. Thank you very much. First and foremost, I'd like to thank the tribe for allowing us to be part of this process. I very much respect the way you're going through your decision making, and you've got 3 proposals. I don't think you can make a bad decision. I think it really depends on the direction you want to go. With us, I think what you get is a proven regional gaming operator. We have successfully operated casinos in dozens of markets, competed with larger competitors, and grown cash flows in every circumstance. The best example, I would say, of how we approach things is what we did with Spokane, and I think I walked through this in the presentation, but with the Spokane Indian Tribe, we worked with that tribe for 9 years to help them have the entitlements for gaming on a site. The location was not as close to the population as the two large competitors in the market. We started out with a 500 machine operation with one restaurant, worked with the tribe to understand their long-term goals, and in operating the facility efficiently and understanding the tribe's long-term goals, we're on the third expansion it's been 5 years. So a smaller property competing against larger competitors with a location that was more challenged. We were able to go in, operate, and provide cash flow that would allow them to expand once in a couple years, and then by the 5th year, like I said, we're on our third expansion. We've operated casinos that are travel centers. We've operated casinos that are 4-diamond resorts. We operated the Hard Rock in Las Vegas, destination resort. And like I said, we've built casinos and successfully operated regional casinos. So with us, I think what you get is a group who can come in, optimize your current results, and help you create a long-term plan step by step to grow in a controlled way over time and really maximize your opportunity on I-40. I'm happy to answer any questions you guys might have.
Any questions for Warner at this time? Any questions? No one's raising their hand, sir.
Okay, well, thank you again. Like I said, I respect your process and look forward to your decision.
Thank you very much for being with us today. LJD, you have the floor.
Thank you. My name is Dennis Floge, as we had presented to you earlier. I think you have 3 very qualified groups. It really just depends on which direction you would like to go and how you want to develop out your company. We based our proposal on how you had asked us to come to the table. It is our understanding that you wanted to hire a consulting group first and have the consultants work the project to, I would imagine, prove ourselves first and then grow out from there. And that's how we put this package together, and that was our understanding. So that's what we put together, and we think that's a great idea, actually, because it gives you a chance to get a feel and a real understanding for whichever group you decide to choose, so that you feel comfortable with them and you understand how they actually operate, and if they were being completely honest with how they presented, and it gives you an opportunity to give a true evaluation. We put our money where our mouth is, basically. All 3 of those groups, in my opinion, are very qualified. Typically with the larger groups, we're a smaller group. We have a very well-rounded group of people that work for us, work with us, I suppose, would be the better way to do it. If we need a specific discipline to come to the table, we have those people on the sidelines, or people that we know that we can call up in the industry. Typically with the larger groups, and this is it's not a bad scenario, but a lot of times the larger groups will hire guys like us to come in and do the work in these different locations. And we're the guys that actually do the heavy lifting. And with us, you're cutting out the middleman, so to speak. We would never shut down your operation during any kind of a renovation. We would work around that, and it's something that we've all done over the years many times. It's just a more practical way to do it. We're a smaller company. There's no question about it. These guys are behemoths around us, but we actually get the work done. We get in there, we turn the cranks, we do the job, and we have a proven track record. We all know what we're doing. We're capable of the bigger projects, a lot like the other companies are. All of us have worked in projects throughout the world, and we've done good work and been very successful with all those projects internationally. We all come with a 30+ year background in gaming. I would, excuse me, I'd like to thank you and compliment you all on the amount of work that you've actually done to put this proposal together. We think that you should move ahead slowly. Your market is very challenging. You are outside of the main population by several miles, and we think that you should pay attention to moving cautiously to get your casino up and running, your multiple casinos, as opposed to diving in with multi-billion-dollar or million-dollar projects. You have something there that can grow, and again, it just depends on your how you want to approach this. We think that you should move the way it was proposed to us, or understood that it was proposed to us, that you want to first do your housekeeping and then see what opportunities would present and grow from there. As far as reporting to the tribe, we will never tell you what you want to hear. We're always going to tell you what you need to hear. And we are very honest in our opinions. We'll get the job done. We'll get you over the finish line. If you work with the other guys, you choose one of the other vendors and it doesn't work out, you know where to find us. We'll come back in and we'll fix it. Anyway, I hope that you don't have a disaster with whoever you choose. I hope that you become very successful with this project and move forward. And I'm going to see if I'm going to turn the floor over to one of our partners, Terrence Padilla. He is our attorney. I'm sorry, he's not a partner, he's our attorney. We've been working with him for many years. Terrence, would you like to add something? Maybe Terrence is not here. Our principal, Louis DeCampley, he's the owner of LJD. Unfortunately, he had a family matter he had to deal with. He's actually on an airplane right now. Well, he may be on the line, I'm not sure. But Louis, are you here? And if you are, would you like to say anything? So it sounds like I'm the only one here, and so I stand for questions.
Any questions for LJD? Questions for LJD? Sir, I see no hands raising. We appreciate you being with us this morning. And you have any closing comments?
We'd just like to thank you for the opportunity. We'd love to do the work for you.
Thank you, sir. There was something that was elaborated on a couple of times by the Innovation Group, as well as by the other companies, at least one of the other companies, about shutting the facilities down. If Maple Leaf is still on the line, when you presented before the council a couple of weeks ago, that was not a concern for you as far as a loss of revenue for the Seminole Nation if there was such a transition period. So if you're on the line, you need to explain that, because it came up a couple of times in today's meeting. Maple Leaf, are you still with us?
We are with you, Chief Johnson. Yes, we are.
Okay, well.
We originally thought that we might have to build a temporary structure adjacent to the I-40, the present-day I-40. Michael Legio went over and did a site survey of that and found that venue is actually going to be workable. It needs to be gussied up. We probably want to revive the food service and bar that's not used, sitting behind some drapes. So that's a lot easier. So, and then when we construct the much larger 73,000 square, we're still looking at the viability of between 73,000 and 100,000 square foot casino to be the new resort casino. And we're looking quite seriously about the 13 acres you currently have in trust, or currently applied for trust. And if that pops into trust, then we can build the larger casino down the 13 acres. We're also looking at exploiting the McGirt decision to see whether the larger casino could be built on reservation land, so that we could possibly park it over nearer to the overpass that we're intending to open at 197 mile marker. So this all has to be kind of studied and figured out. But in the meantime, we don't see a curtailment or a diminution of your gaming revenues. And Mike Ulizio can speak to this on our behalf, but we feel that the revenue that we can generate at Wewoka and Kanawa, the increased revenue will offset any loss of revenue in the unlikely case that we need to take that I-40 casino offline. So we don't feel there'll be any negative economic impact to the tribe, whichever of those three solutions we decide to pursue. Mike,
Casey,
do you
it's
want
Mike.
to add anything, Mike Ulizio?
Okay.
Casey, we're going to keep that casino open while we're building the bigger project. It's not going to close. Period.
Okay.
End of story.
Okay. I just wanted that
Okay.
to be answered simply because it was
Yeah.
a question that came up, and
Yeah.
it was related to or referred to a couple of times. Representative Petit.
While we're back speaking to Maple Leaf, one of the considerations that I had is they've always spoken about the I-40 location. Well, incorporated into that gaming facility is the convenience store. Has there been any consideration made on how that will be approached? Because that's still a revenue stream outside of our gaming, our division of commerce. Is there any
Yeah,
consideration?
ideally, yeah, that's a really, really good question. Like I said, we're going to keep the casino open, and ideally, we'll keep the convenience store open as well.
Yep.
So there's no sense in closing these things when they're bringing in revenue. There's, we got 1,200 acres that we can work with. I'm sure there's a way we can keep 20 acres open by the building. It's not a problem.
Thank you.
Yeah, and to follow up on that, one of the best drivers when you have a limited service facility, when you're using points, is to use gasoline. So to your point, that's a great way of driving casino customers, is utilizing the convenience store. So we would obviously work with you to make sure that that whole area, all three casinos are properly updated, and we're using that gasoline to entice our players.
Excuse me, who's speaking now?
I apologize. I should have introduced myself. This is Mike Ulizio with Maple Leaf. I was just following up for Mike Amon.
Okay, thank you. Didn't mean to
Thank you.
interrupt. I just didn't recognize your voice right away.
And if I may, this is Dennis Floge again. I'd like to just take a quick moment again to emphasize something as well.
And this is who?
Dennis Floge with LJD.
Okay, yeah, go right ahead, Dennis.
I also wanted to mention, and we had our members with us at the presentation. Our attorney, Terrence Padilla, him and Manuel Sanchez, who are both have heavy backgrounds in regulatory side of things. Terrence is a Santa Clara tribal member, and Manny Sanchez is also a tribal member from New Mexico. So we have that in our spectrum of managers, and also like to add that we have run very successful travel plazas as well. And I think we had mentioned that again in our proposal. And I had talked about some of our promotions that we had done, giving away fuel and a tractor trailer. So anyway, I won't take any more time. I'm finished, but I just wanted to add those two comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Okay, I think that concludes the comment period, because it's such a important decision to make. We spent a little more time on it this morning from each of your companies. And once again, the Seminole Nation, also Seminole Nation Gaming Enterprise, appreciates your RFPs that were submitted and the time each of your companies have taken to spend with us a few weeks ago and then again this morning. So right now, we're going to move on with the motion that's on the floor. And what we're going to do, gentlemen, we're going to do it by gentlemen's agreement here. If you could all just go ahead and go offline. If indeed a decision is made today, we will get a hold of each and every one of you, and you will be dealing with the Seminole Nation Gaming Enterprise, because that is the way that the resolution is designed. We thank you for your time this morning, and we're going to move on with the motion that's on the floor. And thank you very much. Y'all have a good afternoon.
Thank you.
And a rest of
Thank
a
you,
good
Chief Johnson.
Have a great
Thank you,
day.
General Counsel.
Thank you, Chief Johnson.
You as
Thank
well.
General Counsel.
All right.
Have a great day.
Y'all have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you, council.
Goodbye, council. This is Dennis Flowes from LJD. Thank you. Bye.
Now, how does the council wish to proceed? We have a resolution that's before us, and it has been motioned and seconded. You heard the additional comments. You heard the comments from the innovation group. How do we want to proceed with this? Because in this resolution, the party that you're going to ask S&GE to proceed to go forward with, from a consultant point of view, and the possibility of obviously a management when that time period would come. So any suggestions, recommendations, desires? Representative Deathridge.
My recommendation would be that we take them individually, just like was presented, Maple Leaf, Warner, and LJD. If Maple Leaf gets more than 50% of the votes, then it's Maple Leaf, and if it doesn't, then you go to the next one and just work your way down.
That's always a difficult way to do it, because what you have is you have somebody that prevails, in each vote.
You asked me, and that was mine. You don't have to tell me that it's a terrible idea. I'm sorry.
But Representative Petit, we'll take it in consideration. Thank you, Representative Deathridge. Representative Petit.
Chair, would it be possible for us to submit a vote on paper and then someone tabulate those outcomes and the winner take all at that point?
I don't think so, because that's not the way we are structured as a nation. We're structured as a nation for all of our members who are sitting in the bleachers over there to hear our business of the general counsel. And we just need to know the facts of how we're going to go about it. I hate to say that, is there one that we could maybe not in the consideration at this point, but I think they also so kindly sent the proposals in, spent their time with us. I have Fulbright, Sampson, and then Thunder, and we'll go in that order. Fulbright?
Yes, I would like to put Maple Leaf's name in there and start off with that. Ask for a second. Second.
Will you repeat your motion?
Yes. I would like to consider Maple Leaf as the, in the whereas, the general counsel believes it further and well-being of the members of the nation to authorize S&GE to enter into a contract to engage the services of Maple Leaf as a third-party consultant regarding the gaming activities on Indian lands of the nation. Ask for a second.
There's been a motion by Representative Fulbright, seconded by Representative Borba. Because a motion has been made, that is what's before the council at this time. We're in discussion. Representative Shaw.
I didn't ask any questions of Maple Leaf. I've been trying to do my homework, but, this was in my packet. And I'm looking at this, and it says consultation compensation. During the preliminary consulting phase, MLR proposes a fee of $50,000 per month, plus 25% of increased revenue. What if they don't perform to even get that? We're gonna still pay $50,000 a month, correct?
I think that's the same provisions in Warner's presentation. That's the addendum they were talking about, that was mentioned earlier today. And, we were just talking.
And I know we were talking earlier about where we're gonna get the money for this and get the money for that, where we're gonna get the money for that $50,000 and still make money at our casinos, because we can't even pay, their splits not even coming to the tribe like it's supposed to now. So, you know, I have some qualms about, I have qualms about all of them, really. But that one there, when I seen that 50,000 per month, that, I stepped back because the one's 15 and the other's 20. And, I know that Maple Leaf, is bringing their own money to the table to start off, they're saying, but it don't look like they're bringing any money to start off, because we're gonna be doing a consultation compensation of 50,000 a month, which is more than double the other two. So,
I think, what I understood in the conversations was that, as things were being built, they were building it with their own money. Lands that could be purchased are going to be purchased with their own resources.
well, I understood that too, but I'm also concerned about this $50,000 a month that we're gonna have to pay somebody. We don't know if they're gonna be able to perform or not.
Well, you had hours of presentation not too long ago and a talk here. We pay our attorneys, you know, a certain amount of money. We pay anybody that does any kind of analysis impact or anything, with us, you know, a fee or set fee or by contract, whatever it might be. You don't get, folks to come in and improve your gaming facilities for nothing. That's why we're here at this point. That's why we're here at this point. I think you had Warner and you had Maple Leaf, basically with that addendum that you got, the same amount. I think LJD was less. But I'm gonna go to Ms. Sampson. Ms. Sampson, the only reason I didn't call on you earlier, because before that I could get to you, a motion and a second was made. But I call on you now.
My question was, the young men that spoke earlier, that was giving a presentation in the building, since you had those people to leave for us to make a decision, are they still going to stay here too?
I'm sorry, can you put your mic up, because I'm having a hard time. And Adam, you need to turn it up.
Okay, the young men that did a presentation earlier in the building, are they supposed to stay too, since the other ones had to go away?
Well, they were here to give a presentation. They're free to leave if they want.
Well, I was just asking because you told them to leave and we'll contact them.
Because they're not on the agenda for a cost situation. They're part of the audience today
Okay,
at this moment.
I was just trying to make sure we don't get in nobody's trouble.
No, they're fine. They did their evaluation and shared it with you today. Let's see, I said Sampson, and then I said, okay, Thunder, you were next, weren't you? Yes. Representative Thunder?
Yes, I wanted to make the comment, since we're trying to figure out who we're wanting to vote on, I say we eliminate one, and my choice would be Warner Gaming. I mean, you can stand on that, or...
There's a motion on the floor already. So we can't entertain that at this moment. But after that, this vote is taken, then that can come back up for discussion if that's what the council desires. And at the motion, there's a motion and a second on the floor.
All right, I yield the floor.
I appreciate your comment, though, Representative Thunder. Representative Lena.
Yes, I feel that we had enough time to hear everything. We had the opportunity to ask questions, and I think it's time that we move forward because we know what our casino, we know the state that it's in today, and we need help. And I think that it's time that we move forward with the vote. Or however we need to progress, let's do it.
There is a motion and a second on the floor. What we do have, for you that haven't been on the council, 100 years like Wayne Shaw, and that's a comment, Mr. Shaw. We have had our opportunities within the Seminole Nation in different areas of expertise. The Carl Albert Medical Center that eventually was built in the Chickasaw Nation, we had first dibs on it back in the 1970s. We didn't take that. When Ken Chambers was in office, he brought to us a proposal for an energy plant. We were going to work to transition those elders that desired to go to electric, and we were going to waive the utility bills. Wouldn't that have been a great benefit? But we didn't do it. There were several different items that came before this council over the course of many years that either were undecided, we get cold feet, or we just don't trust nobody. One or the other. And we don't move on and move forward. I always say we should position ourselves for progress, and we should propel this nation forward. And I hope that we do something today, regardless of what company that it may be, with or without. Those are the decisions before us today. This is a very impactful and potential historical day for the Seminole Nation of Oklahoma. If we were to prevail in the mineral claims, that's going to bring literally hundreds of millions of dollars to the Seminole Nation if we prevail. This, obviously, we've never had this movement before. We've had the opportunities for it. The Seminole Tribe of Florida came here themselves with a proposal. But there were things said to them that offended them by people who is in this building today. They told us to tear up their proposal. They weren't interested. You can't disrespect folk when they come to the table to possibly partner with you. So let's do something here today if possible. It's up to you. You're the governing body of the Seminole Nation. You, by the Constitution, are governed to make decisions for the well-being of the state of our members, to promote prosperity, to promote well-being, to promote education. That's Constitution. Let's live up to our Constitution responsibility as elected leaders today of this great Seminole Nation of Oklahoma. All right, we have, I'm going to say Petit, I'm going to say McCoy, and Fulbright. We'll work it in that way.
Chair, I recognize we have a motion and a second. I propose that we go ahead and just continue with the vote on them. Looking at the numbers that we have here, if there's not another proposal which would exceed that vote for whichever that, what's it called?
I don't
Maple
know.
Leaf, then we proceed in order to the second presenter, which was the Warner Group, and then to the LJD. Because we need to get this vote done.
Okay, McCoy and then Fulbright. They had their hands raised.
Call for question.
Fulbright? Okay, this is to insert in the blank areas of TR 2023-56, to insert that with the company known as Maple Leaf. And I ask for the secretary to call the roll.
Leetta Simpson.
No.
Yes.
No.
No. Anthony Conley.
No.
John Narkemy.
Yes.
Rena Tiger.
Yes.
Anastasia Pittman.
Yes.
Terry Edwards.
Yes.
Ida Gonzalez.
Yes.
Nancy Fixico.
Yes.
Leon Petit.
No.
Joseph Billy. Dolores Harjo. Karen Fulbright.
Yes.
Ann Borba.
Yes.
Stephanie Lambert.
Yes.
Sina Yeslith.
Yes.
Lottie Cootie. Marilyn Moore.
Yes.
Henson Lena. David Frank.
No.
Tiffany Thunder.
Yes.
Wayne Shaw.
Yes.
Catherine McCoy.
No.
Charlie Hill.
No.
Tommy Chupko.
Yes.
Danita Harjo.
Yes.
Willis Dethridge.
Yes.
Desiree Emerton.
Yes.
I have 16 yeses, 10 nos, 0 abstain.
The count of 16 yes, 10 noes, and 0 abstentions. Maple Leaf resolution is passed. We have those other companies. That's a pretty big margin. How does the council wish to proceed?
Maple Leaf got it. I mean,
They got it according to this law. It was the understanding that the others would be considered as well. I don't know how we do that.
Miko.
I'm going to refer to the Attorney General because this measure passed. The other companies would have to get more than 16. Representative Dethridge.
That was the recommendation we made like 30 minutes ago, is that we vote for Maple Leaf, and if the vote is in a majority, and it is, then Maple Leaf is the one that we've chosen as a council. The other two.
Well,
cannot
what
get
I
that.
know is this resolution is an official approved resolution of the Seminole Nation of Oklahoma as it stands. Does anyone have any debate on this matter? I see Representative Pittman, then Representative Billy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The process is still the same. You must go through the votes on each one of them because that's what we said. Even if Maple Leaf at the end of the process still has the majority of the votes, then they become, it becomes the Maple Leaf resolution. But you must go through each organization and vote on them because that's how we presented it to them. So changing the process is not going to be helpful. We still have to have a record in our minutes that those other companies either did exceed 16 votes or did not.
Representative Billy has the floor next.
Can't hear you.
Do you agree with Representative Pittman? Is there anyone that opposes? We've had nominations before, like for general counsel secretary, and we took vote on every one. In the end, we went with the one that had the most votes. You believe that's the proper way to do it? Will you say it on the microphone so it can get on the minutes? And Ms. Thunder, now would be the time.
Yes, I agree. We need a vote on each company, and the company with the most votes will be the choice for the resolution.
That's not how we're structured as a nation. Is that how the council wants to continue to move on? Is there, some are saying yes.
No.
Does everybody feel okay with that? Okay, then that's how we'll do it. And if we have a tie, I suppose the chairman breaks the tie, doesn't he? Okay, I'm waiting to hear something. I'm waiting to hear something. Entertain whatever the council desires.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like,
Representative Cootie, then Representative Petit. Representative
Chief.
Cootie.
Chief, the resolution says, a resolution of Seminole Nation of Oklahoma General Council authorizing Seminole Nation Gaming Enterprise to enter into a contract with third-party consultant. I thought we was going to vote on this resolution to allow the enterprise to choose the consultant. Isn't that what it says? Or am I- Well, I'm just asking.
That's absolutely not. What you're doing as the governing body of the Seminole Nation is directing them because they're our gaming arm.
That's what I'm trying to find out. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on. They will do what you direct them strongly by resolution. Not here,
I asked him, he said no.
Representative Petit.
And then there's different ones after.
I think probably what we should have done to avoid any confusion was whenever Representative Fulbright introduced the resolution as stated that we vote for Maple Leaf, maybe we should have added in subsequent presenters thereafter. Maybe that would have gave us the authority to vote them through the numbers and then the winner take all. But we've already voted.
It's not good to do that. It's just not a good process to do it that way.
I understand that, but
Because
we
everybody-
voted
it's like
according to
everybody-
her, we voted according to her verbal resolution and how she read it.
Sandra, did you have something to say?
Not at this moment, but I just remembered there was my elimination that I had brought up, but that's just up to this council as well.
Yeah, if you made a motion to that effect, then if there was objections to it, then it would go to a vote. That's how it works. But that's okay, I'm not telling you one way or the other. I'm still not hearing nothing from our governing body. Representative, yes, sir.
I make a motion to add Warner to the vote.
You make a
Second.
motion. Motion, who seconded that? Danita Hojo? All right, we got a motion, Warner, and a second by Danita. We know what that means. Secretary, this is for Warner to be inserted in here. Okay? It's really confusion. We never really done it this way ever. I don't know if we ever done it this way ever in 30 years that I've been familiar with the council. But the attorney said that's the way to do it. But go ahead. Call the
Leetta
roll.
Sampson,
no.
John Narkemy,
Abstain?
Rena Tiger,
Abstain.
Anastasia Pittman, Terry Edwards,
No.
Ida Gonzalez,
No.
Nancy Fixico, Leon Petit,
No.
Joseph Billy, Karen Fulbright,
No.
Ann Borba,
No.
Stephanie Lambert,
No.
Sina Yeslith,
No.
Lottie Cootie,
No.
Marilyn Moore, Henson Lena,
Yes.
David Frank,
Yes.
Tiffany Thunder,
No.
Wayne Shaw,
No.
Catherine McCoy,
No.
Charlie Hill,
No.
Tommy Chupko,
No.
Danita Harjo,
No.
Willis Dethridge,
No.
Desiree Emerton.
No.
I have 2 yeses, 20 noes, 3 abstain.
With a count of 2 yes, 20 no, and 3 abstentions, I declare that Warner Group has failed. Does anyone have entertain another motion? Representative Yested, thank you for moving us along.
I make a motion that we add LJD to the vote.
I second.
There's a motion for LJD to be inserted in the blank. There's a second by who? Representative Arjo? Okay. Okay, this is LJD.
Leetta
Secretary?
Simpson,
No.
Anthony Conley, John Narkemy,
Abstain.
Rena Tiger,
Abstain.
Anastasia Pittman, Terry Edwards, Ida Gonzalez, Nancy Fixico,
No.
Leon Petit,
Yes.
Joseph Billy, Karen Fulbright,
No.
Ann Borba,
No.
Stephanie Lambert,
No.
Sina Yeslith,
No.
Lottie Cootie,
No.
Marilyn Moore,
No.
Henson Lena,
No.
David Frank,
No.
Tiffany Thunder,
No.
Wayne Shaw,
No.
Catherine McCoy,
No.
Charlie Hill,
No.
Tommy Chupko,
No.
Danita Harjo,
No.
Willis Dethridge,
No.
Desiree Emerton.
No.
I have 1 yes, 21 noes, 3 abstain.
With a count of 1 yes, 21 noes, and 3 abstentions, I declare that for LJD to have failed. We want to take it this time to thank everyone who was involved in the process. Request for proposal, which means the law firm that represents S&G, Drummond, say that again, Drummond. Huh? Woodson, that's correct. And they provided the meal during the time of the presentation as well. Thank you, Drummond and Woodson. Thank you to Billy Shepherd. And also I want to say thank you to Robin Miller, who also at the time was involved in the process of getting some of these things together to get us at this point. And anyone that was involved. Thank you, council, for the comments, the decision that was made today. I believe that today will go down as a historical time in the history of contemporary history of the Seminole Nation, contemporary modern history of the Seminole Nation. Representative Representative Hill, and then Representative Fulbright.
William Hill, yeah. Mr. Chair, I'd just like to make a request that we should recognize our Miss Seminole Nation princess.
We can recognize them. They're usually here during the time of
You came in late.
meetings. We want to recognize the princesses at this time. You're not on the agenda, but as a council opposer approaching the council floor. Any objections? There's no objections, come on up. We appreciate you being here today.
Hinchday Stongo, Amirnusum Church of Gros, Yajaska, Meadow, Amajoga Bali Ibagin, Hod Ogi Amalagados, Moment Mikasaki Amadoa, Este Seminole Moment Navajo Ois, Emid Oklahoma Legados, Machineta Hanamneta Hidazim Bambala Ibofanga, Meadow Kejidois. Hello everyone, my name is Amira Newsome. I'm 16 years old and am your 2022-2023 Junior Miss Seminole Nation of Oklahoma. I am from Edmond, Oklahoma. I am Navajo also, and am Miccosukee Band and Wind Clan. I'm so glad to be here today to witness this historical moment for our nation, and also would like to invite you all to our pageant September 14th at Seminole State College. Yeah. So thank you, Meadow.
You got it. Princesses have done a great presentation this past year, representing with honor the Seminole Nation in all their travels and all their community outreach that they've done for our community as well. So they should be commended and applauded for their efforts and their way that they have represented us well. S&GE, Shepherd, you will contact each and every one of those that presented an RFP and let them know the results. Okay. Well, Billy, where's Billy? Okay, you're looking like your brother from this angle. Y'all look a little alike, don't you? Yeah, thanks, thank you. Okay, Representative Fulbright.
I would like to make a motion to adjourn, please.
We will pray, and then if there's no objections to adjournment, we will adjourn. But let us stand and pray. Thank you, council, for doing the work of the nation today. You should also be commended on your thoughts and your correspondence with your band members on these two subjects. Our gracious Heavenly Father, as we come to you today, knowing that all things move according to you as the Creator, all things living and all things that exist. We thank you for your presence in the lives of people, the impact of your kindness and your generosity as we share it with one another in our lives. We thank you for relationships. We thank you, Lord, for the time that you give us to be able to make such decisions as has been made by this honorable council this day. We ask for your continual leadings and guidance of the great Seminole Nation of Oklahoma. We ask for your perseverance with us, that as our ancestors have persevered many different adversities throughout our histories, times of poverty, may we be at this time positioning ourselves for progress to propel our tribe forward in the decisions that were made. We ask your continual blessings upon that. We pray for Representative Pittman and her request for prayer, and all those that are in nursing homes today, those that may be in the hospital, those that may be ailing, and those that are overseas serving in the different branches of the United States military, and all those that we are so privileged to be able to say, we are Seminoles. We are the Seminole Nation of Oklahoma. We give thee honor this day. Give us traveling mercies as we go to our places where we're going the rest of the weekend. And forever we give you honor, and forever we give you praise. In thy name we do pray. Amen.